What's going on, Browns fans? I'm your host, Justin Harold, and with me today is my co-host, Jeff Santa. This is the Cleveland Pulse Podcast, episode 13, coming off a fresh win against the Dallas Cowboys, week 4. The Cleveland Browns, 3-1 for the first time in 19 years. I'm 21 years old. Jeff's 21 years old. First time in 19 years. Jeff, this is insanely nuts. This is crazy.
Let's go.
Jeff, I called you at halftime. It was a very different game than how it ended, but halftime, I was beyond jacked. We were up 31-14. The defense looked stellar. The offense looked stellar. There's just so much good stuff going on right now. I got the shades on. Guess what? I got a bottle of wine in the freezer right now. I don't care that I got work tomorrow. I got school and work and everything tomorrow. I don't care. I'm going to indulge in myself. I mean, this was
good.
This was just one of the best Browns games I've watched. I understand that it got really close there at the end, but I don't care. It was just so much fun all around.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, talk about a great game. And me and you said we were getting to 50. We're going to get to 50. That's not the end for us. 49, keep scoring more every week. I wish the defense, would have gave up less points and it would have been – but it just makes sense that it's a close game. Like we're going to have to work for the wins as the team, and as fans, we're going to have to, work through that second half. But wow, I've never felt better.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, and you know what? It wasn't exactly the way we thought it was going to go down. I think we both thought that, Baker was going to have to pull out more of a air raid kind of game, and really didn't come down to that. Again, Browns rushing game, the huge talking point, especially with Nick Chubb going out after that first I think he made it to the second quarter and then got hurt at the very beginning of it. But Nick looked like he got rolled up a little bit. Nothing too serious. He got up on his own legs. And, I mean, I said going into halftime, by that time, Dearness Johnson had come in and Dontrell Hilliard had come in. And all three of our running backs from that point on and Kareem were just rushing the ball so well. And we were in control of that game. I mean, going into halftime, that's the most sure that I ever felt that we were going to pull a win out. 31-14, like I said at halftime. But this game, I mean, there's just so much to talk about. And I feel like the score is a lot closer than what it was, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe at a point there, we could have lost that game. It was very possible.
Let's get the bad out of the way first. Just coming from me.
So you want to talk about Andrew Sendejo?
Dude, get him out. Andrew Sendejo out. I don't care what ties he had in Minnesota. I really don't. I know Stefanski, if that's even a storyline, we kind of made that up in our head. But get him out. He's so bad. He's not even close on his coverages. He's not even in 5 feet of people. CeeDee Lamb was cooking him all day long. Our defense got to catch the ball.
Yeah.
That game was not that close. I agree with you, on your first point that it was not that close. But, yeah.
Yeah, all right, Sendejo, my dad asked me earlier on, before the game started, I think he asked me, what's going on with that dude that we traded for from Jacksonville with Ronnie Harrison Jr.? I was like, I don't know why he's not playing. But before the game ever starts, guess who our game captain is? Andrew Sendejo. Guess who got torched the entire game? Andrew Sendejo. Guess what? He had one play. I think we ended the half. We either ended the half or in the third quarter. It's really hard to remember when these things happen because it just happened and we haven't really reviewed anything. This is immediately after the game, but emotions are wild right now. I'm running wild with these thoughts. But he and Sione Talkie, my dad made a really funny comment on that fumble that they got off of Zeke. He said that was the best use of Sione Talkie's head, and it's literally Zeke's ass on top of Sione Talkie's head, keeping him from not being down and allowing Sendejo to actually do something good. But yeah, he was awful. He got torched.
Talkie's got to catch the ball. I mean, the Dallas offense is good, and they're scarily built for come behind wins somehow. I kind of prefaced it earlier in the week that they start slow in the first half. They're not the best first half team, but they really do put it on. And Dak just, I don't know, they love throwing the ball, but our defense is not like good enough to, have missed opportunities for turnovers.
Yeah, and so I mean, there were multiple occasions where the ball and Sendejo on one of those passes that could have been intercepted, he tried to take the ball away on a Terrence Mitchell interception. I was like, why? Why is this happening? So there's the first touchdown that happened where I think you can maybe blame Carl Joseph and Sendejo because Carl Joseph helped the wide receiver out on the left side of the field a little bit too much, but Sendejo also just the secondary safety who's supposed to be covering the deep middle didn't do his job. Then he got torched by CD Lamb in the end zone once, and then he got torched by someone else. And he was just coverage-wise so bad. But honestly, our defense was so good. I mean, Myles Garrett was so good in that first half, all the way through the first half. And then we got into the second half, and, we started off with the ball in the second half, scored a touchdown, and you get into that situation where you're up by 38-14 and you're kind of like just, pumping the brakes a little bit because you don't want to push it. You don't want to, potentially make a mistake and have Baker throw an interception, which again, Baker came out of this game clean through for 2 touchdowns, 107. I have it right here. It's Baker threw for 165 yards, 19 of 30 for 2 touchdowns and a QBR of 100. Also, shout out to Jarvis Landry with a perfect QBR. Like you said, through the best pass of this season so far. But yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about Sendejo and how bad he is. But your point about guys just catching the ball, Sione had one of those where it ended up being a completion to Dallas. Good play by whoever that was. But there was also an attempt by my guy, Jacob Phillips, coming back from injury. He could have had an interception. Terrence Mitchell could have had an interception. But I was telling my dad, him at the end of that game, I was like, and I'm still jacked up. You can tell by the way I'm talking, I'm still a little bit jacked up. I was like, the only thing this game is missing right now is a Denzel Ward pick. And lo and behold, the man comes in when it's needed the most. So
it's just really apparent that our linebackers and our cornerbacks and our safeties have zero communication. It's just really apparent, like, to see that. But I mean, we did get, when I texted you, I said timely, turnovers and just make big plays on defense, but we got to capitalize on some of those potential interceptions. And I mean, I was a little bit disappointed just in the second half in general, just because I really wanted to put them away, but I knew that they weren't going to go out without a fight. They like being in that spot. The Cowboys do, but the offense, baby, the offense. Wow.
Yeah.
That first half was insane.
I told you, like, we had that short little call. I was so happy at halftime and called you and tried to FaceTime you and everything. But like I said, I'm so happy that Odell looks like the Odell that we actually traded for. 3 touchdowns, got him the hat trick. You texted me sometime in the second half. He's like, get him another touchdown, get him that third one for the hat trick. Great pass from Jarvis to Odell. You love seeing that. Then you love seeing Odell get it in the red zone. That short yardage situation with Baker, perfect ball and everything. Poor rookie cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys having to set up against Odell in that situation, covering, him going for a fade or what he did doing the slant route. And then again, with a miraculous, I mean, this play, that final play of his for the touchdown, the 50-yard, pitch and go kind of whatever you want to call it, toss play, that looked so bad. And like, in the moment, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And he like gets around Lawrence. I think it was Lawrence. And he gets around and I'm like, all right, just like get up the field. Please get up the field. And then he starts making guys like miss. And I'm like, no way. And as soon as he gets to him and Jalen Smith, I'm like, no way. I was like losing it. I was going up and down my house, just screaming. It was amazing.
I was just so confused because they're doing that thing where they put the ball, their kicker's kicking the ball on its side, which I've never seen that before. But then it was 41-38 and they did it again. And they gave us the ball on the 50-yard line. I was so confused. And then Odell's running 15 yards backwards and then run 60 yards for a score.
Yeah, it was insane. And I know what you're talking about. That's Greg Zuerlein, right? I think that's their kicker.
Dude, I've literally never seen that before. They did it twice. And Peoples-Jones, he's young, but he almost costed us a little bit. He had a holding penalty. He did not have his the debut he was looking for. And that the first one where if that ball would have touched him, Dallas would have recovered that for a touchdown.
Yeah, well, that was like the huge worry was like, did he touch that ball in that first one like you were talking about? I was like, I didn't think he touched it. I thought it bounced right past him because if it hadn't touched him, it would have stopped, which it didn't. It just rolled into the back of the end zone. But like, yeah, it was like I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, just pick it up or something, and goes into the end zone. But then, I think the second time they just kind of like realized, okay, he's gonna kind of like pooch kick it. I don't know how you want to call whatever, like you said, you kind of laid it on its side without the tee or whatever, and kind of kicked it and, like you said, put us on the 50-yard line. I was like, that was fantastic. I was expecting us to blow a bunch of time on that possession and hopefully go and score or just, try to run the clock out. But lo and behold, you give OBJ a toss 15 yards backwards and he makes magic out of nothing. And, we go on to win that game. But, offensively, again, we were just clicking, and I pulled up the stats, so I'll show really quickly.
Stefanski tying Hugh Jackson with career wins as the Browns head coach with 3.
Dude, I just can't believe 19 years, Jeff. There's apparently been 2 or 1 time that we've ever been 3-1 since we've been alive for the Browns, and this is the second or maybe third. I don't know what the numbers are on that, but so total yards. I mean, it looks like Dallas won this game. I mean, you would assume that they won this game looking at this, but 508 yards, 300 of it rushing. That's just that's fantastic. That's crazy. I mean, Dearness Johnson, talk about these guys just putting anyone in that backfield and just having them run behind our offensive line. And
I love how he looked.
What did you say? He looked like Alvin Kamara?
Dude, I liked him last year. Even, when Kareem wasn't even available, I liked him. I think he's got a good ceiling. And, running backs, I mean, obviously you want to have studs. Like Nick Chubb is a premier running back, best in the league, in my opinion. Hopefully, let's hope and pray he's healthy, just a little banged up. But, I mean, you could put anyone behind a good offensive line in the National Football League, and they're going to be good. And, if they have moves, even better. But he looked like a stud. He was running hard.
He looked better than the other guy on the other sideline, which I don't want to really, shit talk my guy Zeke that much, but
he's how long till he's upset? He's got to be mad over that.
I mean, that whole team's got to be imploding, right?
Dude, I mean, I don't Jerry's world, but they're giving Pollard the ball on the goal line. Like, why?
Right. All right. Well, that touchdown that Pollard got off of Zeke that should have been a touchdown was kind of weird. Like they said, like they ruled him down, but everyone was like, that's a touchdown. Even Browns fans thought that was a touchdown. But I mean, just look at this: 95 yards from Dearness Johnson. Odell 73 yards. I mean, we did 2 plays to him for him to run the ball. That 50-yard magic. Kareem was 71 and 2 touchdowns. Nick, unfortunately, going out like we said. I don't know. I think he's fine. He walked
haven't
off
heard
on
an update.
Yeah, I think he's fine, and I'm sure we'll get an update, but he walked off on his own power. And when you looked at the play, I was worried at first when it happened because I thought he was grabbing his calf, and I was like,
I thought he was cramping. I thought it was a cramp, but then they showed the replay.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I was like, please don't let it be like the Grant Delpit injury because like you explode your Achilles or whatever it is, and you're done. You're gone for the whole season. And
he walked off though, so
yeah. He was fine. He looked fine, but again, he had 6 carries and was already averaging 7.2 yards. And then, Dontrell got in there too. He had a couple rushes that looked really good. And then, offense or passing wise, nothing fantastic. Obviously, Odell pops out at you here, finally looking like that guy that we finally traded for. Jarvis having, my dad is like the biggest Jarvis Landry fan in terms of like, he's like, whenever that ball is thrown to Jarvis Landry, he's either making the most like contested catches or he's just like securing the ball every time. And, he's such a sure guy. And he had a lot of those 3rd and 8 conversions this week. So I'm really happy about that. Harrison Bryant got a couple more touches. Austin Hooper got a lot of touches. First touchdown. That's really good. I'm really happy for him. And then, yeah, it's just not a lot of names this time around. Kadero Hodge was hurt. I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Hamstring. That's all I
Yeah.
heard. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll allow DPJ. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he was in there. You said that he was a little shaky. He had like a holding call, but he did have a couple blocks down the field. And
our team's just all good. They're just all good blocking. And kind of just to go off on a little tangent, but just a complete 180 from Freddie Kitchens' boonk ass schemes that he would always run. You see Stefanski has every one of our playmakers, Baker Mayfield included, out in space. These little flips to OBJ in the backfield, do it with Jarvis, do it with anyone. I don't care. We had Nick Chubb in the fullback spot today for a play. Like just be unique. Don't be predictable. Me and you are always talking about that. We have the weapons. Get them out in space. And dude, we have so many athletes. OBJ is going to make a play for you, 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and he did that today. And, the one thing we're talking about blocking, talking about Baker blocking a defensive lineman on the Jarvis throw. That was awesome. I was like going nuts. I was like, look at Baker blocking him.
Our wide receivers are downfield into the second layer, putting blocks on people. Harrison Bryant's out. He's the furthest guy down the field, playing blocks on guys for our running backs. I mean, our offensive line is disgustingly good. Conklin goes out for a play. Hubbard comes right in. Like nothing ever happened. I mean, when you have good blocking, when we have good fundamentals, it just looks like – I don't have comparisons of like team practices, obviously, but the rumor on the streets was that Freddie Kitchens' practices were a joke. And you could just tell that the fundamentals this year, all the way around the board offensively, are just way, way better.
Isn't it nice to like actually feel like you have a competent coach for the first time ever?
Yep.
I mean, it's just a completely different feeling compared to last year when, we won games and you're still just like freaking out over like, how was it this close? Or why did we do this or do that? I mean, I was like that for our first win with the Jets. I was like, we should have creamed these guys last year. We should have murdered them. They were on like a third string quarterback and we made it a really close game for some reason. But this was, we talked about it last week. This is a team that, they're 1-3 right now, but honestly, they've had such close games. They are a much better team than what their record says. I think they're, an above average good team offensively, at least. Maybe as a whole, they're kind of just average right now. But I mean, this was a game that me and you were talking about. I mean, if we came out of this 3-1, this would be a big staple and a big point to make for the rest of the league and for the Browns. And the first time I've ever heard it on national TV, someone else said it for once, was this actually looks like a different Browns team. And, I think a lot of people, and not even people, I think the players especially are starting to believe that. And it's just special. It feels really good.
That's an underrated win there. You see the offense really flourish primarily. Secondarily, it's a road game. I mean, last year, I think the biggest thing about this team was that we look totally different, at home and compared to on the road. So, I mean, you play 8 road games, 8 home games. So it's good to get a road win out of the way, right or in the early onset of the season. And I mean, I don't know. Football is always changing. The NFL is always different. But looking at our schedule, I got the note pulled up right now. The Cowboys, at least preseason, you have to put as one of the better teams we play all year long. Maybe It doesn't end up like that, but I mean, we got the Bengals, obviously another time. The Steelers are going to be good games. The Texans and Eagles both look below average. We got to play the Jags. The Titans are going to be good. And obviously the Ravens, Giants, and Jets. So, I mean, preseason, you got to be looking at Dallas as a huge game to win right there.
Absolutely. And, we play the Colts next week at 4:25. Got them playing the Bears up on my fantasy league right now. So, but I mean, Dallas. We both picked Dallas to be a loss. I'm pretty sure.
Nope. Stop with that slander. I got them as a win.
I keep forgetting that because I picked us to win in week 1 and you picked us to lose week 1.
I got us.
So you're perfect right now.
Yep, I'm perfect right
now. You're
now.
perfect. So
yep,
I'm
through 4.
I'm 2-2 on predictions, which is awful. But I mean, you're absolutely right. This next game against Indianapolis will be, it'll be a big test. I think the Colts are one of those teams that are pretty, they're pretty stable offensively and defensively. They know who they are. They know what they can do. They made it to the playoffs last year. Their head coach is a very sound mind. So there'll be a very good test for us next week at home. And then, like you said, we got to play Pittsburgh twice. And in 2 weeks from now, they're going to be that team that we got to test ourselves against offensively, I'm going to say, because their defense, you know better than I do, is just monstrous. So
I just think perfect transition. I mean, I even talked about it was one of the highlights of episode 12. The Ravens, we expecting them to take care of business today, which is fine. I mean, Washington, not very good. Steelers, no game this week. They got to go 13 straight weeks, flex their bye. Their momentum's, hopefully stunned it a little bit. AFC North, not is easily the most competitive division in football right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it maintains that way, but you got 3 teams with 3 wins.
Yeah, and talk about some teams like kind of just falling apart. The Cardinals were 2-0, and me and you both thought very highly of them, and now they lost to a Carolina team without Christian McCaffrey and kind of just lacking their second loss. But I mean, I can't. You're talking about momentum and everything. I think we're very good at home. Well, I say that, but like 2 wins so far at home. And we're going into this next game. We just broke there was something about going into this game about us in road games from last season that we had like an awful record continuing with the Baltimore game this year. But we snapped that. Momentum's crazy right now. And, we'll obviously talk a lot more about the Colts and the preview game, but I just want to talk a little bit more about the defense. So, there was a lot of times where there was a lot of guys in and out. I don't know if you noticed that, that I thought just played a lot better than certain people. I mean, Goodson, he didn't really have that big of a game this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't hear his name a lot.
No, and Talkie, of course, I despise. Him and Sendejo, I despise when I hear their names, because usually it's coming out of my mouth and it's, why are you on the field? But Jacob Phillips was in there. He was doing a really good job. Mac Wilson coming in and out, mainly because I think they're still trying to ease him in. Ronnie Harrison Jr., he was in there. He should have had an interception that went right off his hands. Really need to work on guys just being able to bring that ball in and kind of, keep it secured. But, talk to me about just like the defense in general, kind of letting up in that second half compared to that first half. Because again, 14 points allowed in that first half. They looked really, really good until, they had to kind of pump the brakes a little bit.
Once again, I mean, I just think it really does come down to the defensive line. They played the best half of football all year that they had in the first half. Myles Garrett, absolute monster. And then they just get a little bit complacent. Dak with some pretty favorable and sizable pockets in that second half, had a lot of time to throw, kind of just sitting back there, on his toes. But, I mean, this defense is so tough for me to analyze because it's so bad. It's like actually bad, like not to be negative, but I am being negative, but the secondary and Sendejo might be the worst defensive starter in the league. But we have these guys that have the potential to make big plays on every level somehow. They're not like uberly consistent when it comes to coverages and such, but Mac Wilson, I mean, he's gonna, hopefully get his footing back, knock the rust off. We know Myles Garrett's gonna make big plays, and we know Denzel Ward's gonna make big plays. So if we don't have to be a great defense, I mean, our offense is going to be the staple. It's going to be the talking point if we continue this pace. But we just need to be able to make plays and stop teams. When teams need to score, we need to be able to stop them. When we looked, I don't know. I don't really have like any talking points on why we looked so much worse in the second half. I just think Dallas is a second half team.
Yeah. Let's do something that we haven't really done before. Let's talk individuals and kind of, I'll make the points and you can just kind of go off of me. But Terrence Mitchell, he did really well the first 2 games, and then he did have a chance to have an interception, which was taken away from Sendejo. But he didn't look too great last week, and he didn't really look good this week. Talk to me about the potential of Greedy Williams finally coming back from whatever shoulder injury he has, and the team kind of just thinking, well, he was going to be the starter before he got injured. Should we plug him right back in and kind of put Terrence in the support role? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, it's tough to talk individuals because we do need Greedy Williams back. He doesn't fix everything we have wrong because, there's just so much to talk about on the defense, and we just need to tackle better too, really, at the end of the day. Our tackling's not good, and we're like largely undersized. I feel like Terrence Mitchell is not the largest guy in the world. And we're going to cover, we're going to struggle covering tight ends. I don't know why teams haven't really exploited that more, but I mean, Greedy and Denzel, I just think that Greedy being back just gives Denzel a lot more confidence, and hopefully that helps our over the top guys.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't really get too much out of Greedy last year. He had like a solid season. He didn't really have any takeaways or anything, but coverage wise, he did really well. He was one of the top rookie corners that played. But my biggest thing has always been with Denzel, Terrence, Greedy, Kevin Johnson. You can even throw MJ Stewart in there and some other guys, but with that corner position, we're so stacked. I want us to play the 4-2-5 without Tavier Thomas so bad, so that we can have Greedy and Denzel and Terrence or Kevin out there at the same time. But I would also love to convert Terrence or Kevin to free safety and kick Sendejo out of the lineup if that was possible. But I don't know. I would really like to see him kind of be gone in general. I don't know why they're kind of, still not taking the chance with Ronnie Harrison Jr. I mean, from what I saw, it looked like Ronnie Harrison was, he was in a lot of places to make potential plays. Obviously, he had the ball go right off his fingertips off of one possible interception. But,
Think about the potential ceiling of this defense, though. It's just the Delpit injury just – I lose sleep over the Delpit being hurt every week, because just imagine Mac Wilson, Denzel Ward, Greedy, Delpit, Jacob Phillips, and, your Carl Josephs and your Kevin Johnsons. Like, that's a solid squad. Like, we have the potential to be bullies back there and be a hard-hitting secondary. Our coverages just don't really, it's kind of like the offense from last year. It looks really good on paper, in theory. But the guys just, when you throw them together, it's not working out so far.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with, being injured and them trying to bring guys back slowly so they don't get the practice reps together. I talk about not wanting to have that many linebackers out there because, as you've made it a point, tight ends would kind of bully us, and people can just pick apart our defense if they throw in the middle of the field where those linebackers are. I've honestly, listening to the announcers talk about Myles Garrett and how he's kind of been lining up wherever he kind of wants to, I'm almost tempted to say, let's try to do a 5-2-4 at some point. I don't know if that would really work. If you put Myles on the inside, have Larry Sheldon on the inside as well, and then have maybe Porter Gustin or Adrian Claiborne on the opposite side of Olivier Vernon. I mean, could you imagine just having every one of those guys one-on-one against an offensive line? That's almost as scary as our offensive line going 1-for-1 on a run block.
I want Gustin out there. I like Claiborne too. I'm glad we restructured Vernon, because Vernon's has been secretly one of the more disappointing players on our defense so far.
Yeah.
Just compared to as advertised. But going back to what you talk about, where are our disguised blitz packages? It's almost, I know that they're probably nervous, sending more guys than just because we already have pre-existing problems covering people. But like you said, I don't know why we're not trying to, even if it's not a sack, just hit quarterbacks hard.
My thing is they did blitz this week. They did blitz a couple times. And my thing is they use the corners that should probably be in coverage compared to the linebackers, where I would, And, you know, you get a little bit more speed with some of those guys. MJ Stewart ended up with one of those sacks, which was really great, and a great utilization. But how about this? How about you switch MJ Stewart for Sendejo to go blitz? Because Sendejo can't cover anyone, so you might as well put someone back there and use Sendejo as someone to blitz. But in general, yeah, you don't see a lot of blitzes, and I think they tried to blitz a little bit more in the beginning of that second half, just because they had the lead and they could experiment a little bit with that lead. But I hate it. I think blitzing is a really great thing, and once you get one-on-ones and you let guys like Myles Garrett kind of just do what he did in that first half, it's a really good just overall defensive scheme. But who knows? I mean, maybe it's because they had planned up with Grant Delpit and healthy Mac Wilson and Jacob Phillips that just haven't gotten time to work with the ones. And like you said, there's a severe lack of communications in the back seven. And I don't even know if if they try to do blitzes, maybe one guy goes and he's not supposed to, or one guy doesn't go. And then, people are just out of whack. It's a really big chemistry kind of thing and a big communications thing.
We do throw Sendejo under the bus, and I don't really see how he has a starting position next week. I think that's getting into, trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results type of territory. But the communication is so subpar on the back end of our defense is that there were some plays today where I'm screaming at the TV and I really don't even know who to be mad at. I don't even know, if our safeties shade the wrong way, or I know Sendejo's getting burned all day long. If you're watching the game, you could have figured that out. But some plays I'm kind of like, wow, where's the help?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the one thing that we are throwing them under the bus. Dallas, very talented team in their, wide receiving core, and with that tight end, I forget his name, but I think he's been pretty solid for the past 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, I mean, you win a game and there's not really a reason to switch something up. You could just dial it up to, Dallas is a second half team. They've shown that in the past, and we kind of just, offensively, we kind of stopped putting a little bit pressure on them and kind of forced our defense to stay on the field a lot of times. But my thing, and I'm sure it'll be other people's thing, is why isn't Ronnie Harrison Jr. in? Maybe that will come next week, but I don't know. I don't think you try to do anything too monumental, and I don't think replacing Sendejo would be monumental. But you just don't want to ruin what's kind of going on right now. And the Browns are rolling and things are looking good all over. I don't know. I don't know that you can really mess with it too much.
And, building off of Dallas being a good, looking at the schedule, unless something pops up or some receivers pop up, that's the best wide receiving core our defense is going to have to face all year long. We have highlighted players that are going to come to town, and we're going to go play them. I mean, obviously you got T.Y. Hilton next week. You're going to face Juju 2 times, but I mean, you're not facing Amari Cooper Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. You're not that's good. 14 points in the first half. That's why I was so disappointed with the eventual final scoreline, just because they didn't score. They scored 14 points in the first quarter. They didn't score in the second, or they scored in the third quarter.
No, they didn't.
We held them scoreless for 2 straight quarters.
Yeah.
And I mean, so at the end of the day, being a Browns fan, me and you kind of have to realize that we got to find somewhere to analyze, but we haven't, usually it's the whole thing that the wheels are falling off. If we're complaining about Sendejo and, we're 3-1.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
We're in uncharted territory is what it is. For the first time since probably we could ever form words, we're in uncharted territory as Browns fans, which I'm unbelievably happy about. And you're right. I mean, that's probably the most talented offense that we play all season.
Literally easily. For the Ravens, excuse me. I don't mean to disrespect the Baltimore Ravens like that. But, I mean, the Chiefs defense made him look human, which the people say the Chiefs defense, is average. I'm sick of the NFL slander this year is it's upsetting me.
I don't know. The Chiefs made them look really average. And we talked about in that first
We
week.
made them look average last year.
Yeah, I really think that first game you chalk it up to Kevin Stefanski having no preseason and, you know, wanting to test things on offense and our defense being banged up and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think offensively they have talent there. They don't have talent. They don't have talent. Yeah, they definitely don't have the wide receiving talent. And, you know, I don't think you want to say Mark Ingram is better than Zeke, because I don't think that's true. He might have better stats right now because
like I said, what worries me though are the Mark Andrews and the Eric Ebrons of the world, because this is something that I haven't really touched on, but some Steelers fans, which, you know, so I like rational Steelers fans. I could deal with them. The irrational Steelers fans, which there's a lot of them, they think Ebron is a steal. They think we got fleeced for Hooper and Ebron's better. So I hope that Hooper has 3 touchdowns against him and we smash Eric Ebron.
Do you think there's more irrational Steelers fans than there are Browns fans?
Yes, but only because the Steelers have been good for so long.
That's funny. I honestly have a high opinion about Eric Ebron. Surprisingly, you know, I thought he kind of got he got treated unfairly in Detroit and stepped it up in Indianapolis, and I think Pittsburgh's a perfect fit for him. But yeah, I don't know that, and honestly, I don't know that Eric Ebron's done that much this season, but neither has Hooper, and we paid Hooper a lot of money. But, you know, he's just part of a system where there's so many guys to throw to that, you know, if he doesn't get all those touches, it's not because he's not good. It's just there's Odell and Jarvis and Kareem Hunt's, you know, all contending for receptions and all that. And so I think my biggest thing with this team is just they're all, by the seams of it, they're all really unselfish. And they've all really bought into Kevin Stefanski's plan. And that's the first time that I could ever say that about a Browns team, especially one with so much talent.
I mean, just it's corny, but the vibes everywhere on the field today they get better every week.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm excited to play the Colts next week. So it's going to be just keep rolling the momentum over. I mean, OBJ he's dangerous now. If Baker's out the window at that, OBJ is now dangerous, especially after the hat trick.
Yeah. You think he's happy now? He's got to be, right?
I hope so. I can't stand the NFL broadcast for a couple reasons. Well, the announcers were bad today, but I feel like they're just all narrative based. Like the first quarter when Kareem Hunt wasn't getting in the game, they keep showing him on the sidelines. Like that's what this team has to understand. And when you're winning, it's obviously a lot easier, but you're not going to be even Nick Chubb. Like you're not going to be the highlight guy every week. Like Odell's going to, and that's good. Like I don't want our offense carried by one guy unless it's Baker, you know, that's fine with me, but that's just because he touches the ball every play. So, I mean, you got to understand that you're going to have to, when OBJ said that you sent that to me, that the goal is to have Nick Chubb rushing leader. That's what I need that's the attitude I need from everyone.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, it seems like everything has fallen after that Ravens game. Everything is just fallen into the correct spots. And, you know, it's like the puzzle is being finally put together and we're about to complete it. And, you know, obviously we're only 4 games in, only 1/4 of the season through and everything. But, you know, I'm pretty optimistic. I'm pretty happy. I've never been this happy 3 weeks into a Browns season. And I'm sure it's the same for you and for the rest of Browns fans and Cleveland fans. And I'm just getting overall super excited about everything that's going on. Obviously, you know, my dad even said, he's like, I don't think many people care about the Indians losing now, but, you know, the Browns, if they keep playing like this, I'm not going to care what any team outside of the Browns are doing for a long time.
I think the motto, and at least my motto until further, you know, notice, is just so what, honestly, get ready for next game. It's not going to be easy. It's typical Cleveland sports. We're 3-1 through 4 weeks, and there's 2 other teams in our division with 3 wins. Like, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be clawing tooth and nail all season long, and you got to win games in your division. 1-1 right now. There's nothing to be upset there, but I mean, you gotta we gotta beat the Bengals twice, and we gotta take this other game from the Ravens. And oh baby, let's sweep the Lurs.
Yeah, I love that. And, you're talking about the so what kind of motto. I love that. And I think, that's kind of been like the motto for the Browns. And, I'll just, word for word this.
That's Baker's motto too.
Right. And that's what I was just about to tell you. It's like he got interviewed right after the game. And, the reporter's like, do you know the last time the Browns were 3-1? And Baker just goes, no, and I don't really care. I love that. Yep. And, that just I'm fine with that being the motto. I'm like, I don't care. We're rolling. This is 2020, baby.
Right.
This is 2020, and things are nuts. So, but I think that's all we got, Jeff. You got anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, that's high intensity. I like right after, bang it out, instant reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still juiced.
Shout out Mr. Harrell too for the kind words, your dad.
Yeah,
well, I love how he put on the phone at halftime.
He was supposed to be going to get pizza, and he's like, is that Jeff? He's like, yeah. I was like, face kind of just like comes in and talks to you. But yeah, it was awesome. So, but thank you all for, tuning in. Hopefully you guys are watching this today. I'm going to get this out today and everything, but awesome Browns win. And, episode 13, we're rolling with these things now. We're just straight up going. Jeff, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for, very insightful comments and everything. I know you didn't get to your actual spot. You have the little vending machine behind you today, but
we make it work. We're on the fly. There's people in my quiet space.
Cheaters. But all right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. And, give us a like, give us a comment, share, tell us how it's going, how you guys are feeling about this season so far and everything. And, just if you can continue to share this with your friends, your family, we would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.